The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We got about 24 minutes to go until the start of trading. You got markets picking things up in negative territory. You check out the action. Strong day yesterday to the upside. Our man Basil Chapman, he likes those round numbers. How about that round number for you? 4,800. As we close out the session, we literally hit that number at about 4 o'clock. That's the high. You roll over overnight. We're negative by 27 points right now in the S&Ps. We're at pre-market session lows, 47, 73, 75. You're off by about 0.6%. NASDAQ 100, we're off a little bit steeper than that. You're off by 0.8%, 135 points in the red. Similar fashion, you accelerate up to the highs of about 16,800, a nice round number. And then you trade lower. We're negative by 135 points. The Dow off by 208 right now, 37,725. You're off by 0.6%. The Russell, particularly volatile usually. That's the case this morning, off by 1.3%, 26 points in the red at 1978. Bitcoin, how about the day yesterday, right? Up to 47,800. Recent cycle high. We're back a bit, but still above 47,000, 47,275. We're technically almost flat on the session, negative by $30. Crude, up $1.40, 72.19. We were just as high as almost 73. We're trading at 72.18, up $1.42 on the session. Gold, a little bit of a pop after the pullback yesterday. How about the volatility on gold? Friday's volatility, of course, but yesterday down to 2022. We're back up to 2045. We just almost hit 2050 on the gold contract. You jump over to notes and bonds. We got a little bit of lower price and higher yield off of where we were yesterday. Just remarkable the moves. You got higher price and lower yield coming into about 11:30 yesterday morning, and then you pulled back a lot of that area down from about 112 area under that level. We're negative by 5 ticks right now. You have a 10-year yield just over 4%. What are we at? 4.03, rounding up 4.025 to be exact. 4.03% the yield on the 10-year right now. We jump over to the VIX volatility index. We almost got a 12 handle at the end of the day yesterday. Not quite. We're sitting at 1344. Very little volatility priced into this market, and probably rightfully so when we're pushing basically all-time highs of 47.74. You back things up on a 20-year for some context, right? Yeah, we're getting a little bit of volatility, but we are sitting at all-time highs. You started off last year at a price point of about 3,800. We're sitting at 4,800 right now. Quite the acceleration, of course, over the last 12 months. And we will see where we go from here. How about Boeing? Listening to my dad's show yesterday afternoon, and he comes out and starts talking about this bar right here, 3:15 p.m. Eastern Time. And what was the news there? Well, the news is, not an isolated incident. What do they say? No such thing as coincidences, right? You got a brand new plane. That's the scariest part of it all. You got a brand new plane where this door just pops out. Whoa, maybe there's a problem here. We should check the other planes. Yeah, there is a problem. Boeing door bolts in focus after the airline finds loose parts. Alaska and United both find loose bolts in preliminary checks. Won't rule out widening the probe beyond the MAX 9. Not sure what's going on there, but bolts seem like something that you want to make sure is locked down. Nonetheless, that problem is pervasive, and Boeing's got a problem. Again, right? Now, here's the angle on this story. Boeing blowout occurred just hours before the U.S. deal on the 737 MAX crashes was set to expire. You had the Justice Department settlement related to those crashes, and that deal, that they struck in 2001 was set to expire over the weekend, and that's going to complicate potentially the deferred prosecution agreement, and probably should. Imagine if you're one of these families of either of these flights when that 737 MAX, before they discovered the problem that was going on, That deal resolved a probe into Boeing following the crashes of Lion Air Flight 610 in October of 18. You're talking about more than 5 years ago now. Remarkable. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 in March of 2019. 346 passengers and crew died. The agreement, allowed the DOJ to dismiss a criminal charge against Boeing if the company demonstrated that it had beefed up its compliance programs. Now imagine you're a family on the other side of that. They're supposed to beef things up. Not more than a couple years later, right? What do they got? They got new planes. They got doors just popping out in the middle of the sky. I don't know, yeah. And they mentioned, that deferred prosecution pact was a victory for Boeing, which faced significant legal exposure, especially after the Ethiopian Airlines, the second one, right? They probably should have figured things out the first time a plane dropped out of the sky. They probably should have figured it out well before then, obviously. But the second one, really, 5 months after the first one, raised questions about the company's senior executive, how much they knew. So they got some problems, man. I'd be careful of Boeing for right now. Longer term, said the same thing during the 737 MAX. They'll be okay. There's only two companies that make airplanes, right? Boeing and Airbus. And Airbus is a European company. We're always going to want an American company that makes airplanes. Keep that in mind in the longer run. But in the shorter run, what did we just do? We just bumped up against an area that is resistance. And that area is all the way back to March of 2021. Remarkable, man. And that high was 278. We just got to a high of 267. We're off to 226. And on a shorter term basis, back this up on a weekly, because this is going to drag on the Dow a bit for sure. But yeah, I was talking about this yesterday, right? Seems like 220 is a no-brainer, man. We're at 226 right now in the pre-market. That's just an area that was an area of resistance, support. My dad might call it ice there, right? On the top portion of where this consolidated. Look at the range for the beginning half of last year. From 220 to 200 on the bottom side, just well contained before it broke out, pulled back, and then got well above that area. But yeah, not what you want to hear, man. Not sure how it happens. And then the other story's coming out, right? In terms of, I was talking about it yesterday, looked into it more because I couldn't really believe it. In terms of warning lights going on for pressurization, in terms of the pressurization of the cabin, the flight was restricted to no long-range flights over water, so that if they did have an emergency where a light went off, that they could divert to an airline. I mean, how many planes are flying around like that, right? Then they have the second angle, which I don't think I talked about in my program yesterday. It comes out that cockpit recorders only record audio for 2 hours. In Europe, they've made this change. They've fought it in America because regulations are decried, okay? It's the truth. So cockpit recorders only record 2 hours simultaneously. So as a result, they're not even going to have the recording because this plane had to divert, come back, time expired. They're not even going to have the recording of the events of when it actually happened. Think about that. Think about the airline industry, the FAA, and all their recording is a 2-hour loop. And if you want more than 2 hours, you're fresh out of luck because they're not storing audio. Not storing audio. I think they'll get that done on the heels of this one. Unfortunately, it always takes like something like that. That's not a Boeing deal, but it's kind of an FAA deal when you think about it, right? So the FAA, they have 2 hours of cockpit recorders. They have lights flashing with pressurization, just sending planes black in the air. Meanwhile, all the doors have bolts that are loose, and the doors just might pop out in the middle of the sky. It's going to be a tough one for Boeing, rightfully so. The FAA, they need to ramp things up as well. We'll come back. We'll talk some different equities. We'll be back in 3 minutes, folks. Don't go away. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Folks, we got the S&Ps now down 29 points. You're making pre-market session lows at 47.72. You get the NASDAQ 100. You're off about 135. That's about 0.8% in the red. Both of those having quite a run to the top side yesterday. To talk about some of the market action, let's jump over to our man Kevin Hinks. Every trading day, folks, 12 noon Eastern time. Fast Market from the Schwab Network with your host, Kevin Hinks, Tom White, the outstanding team of the Schwab Network. Check it out. They're usually talking about 3 different equities. They're always talking about options. They're always talking about defined risk. Kevin Hinks, quite a day to the upside yesterday. We got a little bit of a pullback this morning. Good morning, Kevin. What do you think about this market action, man?
Good morning, Tommy. Yeah, real interesting day yesterday. Despite the headline news in Boeing, you had the 10-year yield lower. You had the dollar lower. You had crude oil significantly lower. You had news out of NVIDIA on new products and AMD. And I don't even think the market cared what the products were, Tommy. I think the market grabbed it and ran. And the macro part of the market, like I said, the yields, dollar, and crude oil, didn't give the market any reason to stop. And I think the market ran hard. Now, fast forward to today. The yields are a little higher, the dollar's a little higher, crude oil's a little higher. The news on Boeing hasn't really gone away, so futures are a little lower to start the day. Let's watch what NVIDIA and AMD do to start the day and all the AI stocks that led the market yesterday, and let's see how this day plays out. For at least the start of the day, everything from yesterday is reversed except probably NVIDIA and AMD.
And as we know, the day is very young. We get the opening bell in 11 minutes. You've talked about it many times, and that's where we really get to find out where supply equals demand on that opening bell, let alone the overnight session. We got earnings coming up. I know it's only Tuesday, but what do you think about earnings season? Do you have any projections, man? You know, we come into the banks kick things off. J.P. Morgan, boy, they have been a standout among the banks. Some of the banks winners, some of them losers. J.P. Morgan, a big, strong one. Do you have any feelings going in general as we gear up for a pretty important earnings season coming up starting on Friday?
Yeah, I think the banks will be real interesting. I mean, Friday will be a huge day because not only are we getting the four major banks, we'll get J.P. Morgan, we'll get Bank of America, we'll get Wells Fargo and Citi. We'll also get United Healthcare. We'll also get Delta Airlines. So Friday will be a huge day to start earnings. But, Tommy, that's just one part of this, right? The banks always start earnings. We'll get Goldman next week. But, yeah, always have to realize that right behind that is large cap tech, right? And I think part of yesterday's rally was the fact that we're getting close. You know, we'll get Meta pretty soon, right at the end of January. You know, we're going to get a lot of earnings, a lot of fourth quarter earnings. We'll get a real idea for what this economy is doing. So, do I have any ideas? No, I don't. But we'll watch it and see how it turns out. That's for sure.
Oh, man. I was jumping through the charts that you were talking about, those equities in particular, the big tech equities. And boy, Meta shares, we know it, but I pulled that up on the Thinkorswim platform. Quite an acceleration off those lows of last October. Barely a few red bars over that time, and we are approaching middle of January 2024. We get CPI on Thursday, man. You looking at anything CPI on Thursday? You know, an important number, of course, where we are with the Fed. Any thoughts on that number coming out?
Yeah, you know, Friday's jobs data gave us wages that actually went up year over year. The year over year wages went from up to 4.1%. That's higher than expected, and that was higher than last month. So the expectations are for headline CPI year over year to go from 3.1 to 3.2. That should be worrisome, but the expectations for core CPI are expected to go from 4% to 3.8. So one going a little higher, one going a little lower. How will the market feel about that? Is it core that we're looking at? So, and then whenever we get CPI, you break down the individual names and where are the prices coming from. So listen, if non-farm payroll, Tommy, is the number one data point of the month, which I believe it is, CPI is a close second now because so many people are focusing on inflation.
I think it's so cool how much we've all learned. Myself, I speak for myself. I've learned a lot. You almost have to learn a lot in terms of all these economic numbers because they all mean so much right now, CPI especially. And like you said, we get that number Thursday and we go forward. I want to get your thoughts on Boeing. You touched on it, man. Not good revelations coming into this morning. It's been quite a run up for them. I got them up on the Thinkorswim platform from 180 towards their last earnings in October. We push almost 270, which is remarkable. And just like that, we're back to 225. News out last night near the close, of course, that they got a few more problems on some of the other planes. Any thought for Boeing investors, maybe for anybody looking to either, buy the pullback, maybe they're in that equity? What do you think of that? I mean, again, nobody knows what's going to happen, but pretty remarkable it happens, yet again. They've been dealing with some issues, of course.
Yeah, this is going to be a constant problem for these airlines, fixing problems, getting them ready. Remember, they're under so much scrutiny now, more than they've ever been. But, what happened was a bad problem, and it's something that hopefully Boeing is instructing their people to, and the airlines to fix. But remember something, a part of a plane blew off, Tommy, no one hurt, no one killed. So I don't know. This might be a world according to GARP theory on life, but boy, even when things go wrong with airplanes, they all land safely. They all get to the ground. No one gets hurt. So even though it was a tragedy and we're kind of lucky that no one got hurt, it's amazing how resilient these planes are when something does happen. But Tommy, machines break all the time, and it's hard to figure out exactly. But Boeing, boy, they've certainly had their run of problems, and the stock down fractionally to start the day, down about let's call it $3, $2.50, $3 to start the day. That's pretty much where the lows were yesterday, around $2.25, another $1 lower. So yeah, I don't think it was over after one day. They never are. So let's watch this and see. It'll be driven highly by the news cycle on Boeing.
Yeah, and we know that news cycle, man. That news, to be in the news, they're eating up that story, unfortunately. But like you said, man, pretty remarkable, and it is remarkable. When you got human error, you got humans involved in anything, there's always going to be human error. There's humans involved in basically everything, and pretty remarkable, like you say. They're almost infallible in terms of the amount of people that fly and how safe they are. But unfortunately, stuff like that happens. We'll find out. With that in mind, Kevin, fast market today, 12 o'clock. Do you guys have any equities you got lined up for the program?
Like Folio is going to do a presentation on Airbnb, the travel stock.
Okay.
Then we're going to look at Uber in the first segment and CrowdStrike, the cybersecurity name, in the final segment, Tommy. So real good mix of names today as we find ourselves still in that chasm between the end of third quarter earnings season and the beginning of fourth quarter earnings season, Tommy, that we'll get on Friday.
Everybody taking Ubers to their Airbnbs, and then, of course, CrowdStrike. Talk about some volatility. Kevin, I appreciate it on a busy morning as always, man. We look forward to Fast Market at 12 today, talking about those three equities, and we look forward to talking to you tomorrow, man.
Thanks for having me on, Tommy. Have a great day.
Always a pleasure. Folks, check it out. You heard them. They're talking three great equities. They're talking Airbnb. They're talking Uber. They're talking CrowdStrike. Airbnb, it's always an interesting one, right? They almost have a supply problem, which blows my mind in terms of they need more people putting their houses up because they get so many people out there using their product. Uber, we could spend a whole show going on about Uber. Uber pushing $59 right near all-time highs as well. Stay tuned, folks. We're coming back for the open.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Currencies, commodities, and bond markets are as important as ever right now with how they're driving the volatility in equity markets across the globe, which is why it's a great time to try out Teddy Kegstad's Tiger Forex Report. Teddy Kegstad breaks down the Forex markets every Monday using his 30-plus years of experience as a trading veteran of futures, Forex, stocks, and options. Teddy releases his weekly Tiger Forex Report every Monday morning with coverage of all the major currency pairs, including the dollar index, the euro dollar, pound dollar, dollar Swiss, dollar yen, as well as many more, and he also has weekly coverage of the crude oil market and the 30-year T-bonds, as they both influence Forex markets tremendously. When you sign up for the Tiger Forex Report, you also gain instant access to Teddy's 60-minute webinar archive he just hosted, Forex Strategies and Fundamentals, What is Behind the Tiger Forex Report. For all the details and to start your 30-day Tiger Forex Report subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you ready to take your trading to the next level? Introducing Tom O'Brien's award-winning newsletter, Market Insights, your key to successful active trading. Tom O'Brien, renowned for his expertise in the financial markets, has designed Market Insights to be your daily guide to profitable trades. Tom publishes his daily Market Insights newsletter every market day before the market open, along with updates when warranted. Stay ahead of the game with Tom's real-time analysis and trade recommendations delivered straight to your inbox. Whether you're a seasoned trader or just starting out, Market Insights provides the edge you need to navigate the markets with confidence. Ready to join the ranks of successful traders? Head over to TFNN.com and subscribe to Market Insights today. Don't miss out on this opportunity to supercharge your trading results. Market Insights comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee for all new subscribers, so you have nothing to risk. Don't miss out on this opportunity to revolutionize your trading game. Head over to TFNN.com right now to join the thousands of traders who have already experienced the power of Tom O'Brien's award-winning newsletter, Market Insights, firsthand. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets open. You're looking at an S&P 26 points lower on the session. That's just more than 0.5% in the red at 47.74. NASDAQ 100, we're off by about 0.7%. 229 as the market's trying to catch up on this terminal. Come on, catch up. There we go. 37,715 on the Dow. Let's take a look at Boeing. And Kevin put it well. Company like Boeing, where they're going to be dealing with these headaches, as Kevin put it, not usually one-day phenomenon, especially after you've run this high, right? If you're coming in at lows where selling has been exhausted, you got people in there, but you're not coming in at lows. You got people that were shareholders at 180 in October. Maybe you've been burned by Boeing before. Maybe you're in Boeing somewhere in this conundrum of 2022 lows. Are you really going to ride out another potential problem for the 737, et cetera? I'm sure there's some with scars there. So be careful with Boeing. As I stated before, you really want to buy Boeing. You're really looking for a long-term entry, at least 220, man. I would be looking for that. Testing this area it's been in. Yeah. Right, looking at this area. Last time it had volume was that July earnings I talked about. You're already into that bar. My dad will say, you get into that bar, you go into the bottom of that bar, man. The bottom of that bar is 210. Be just the middle of this range that you traded in for 6 months, not outlandish, and you're $15 below where you're at right now. All right, let's take a look at some of those tech stocks. Quite a day for them yesterday. A little bit of a pullback today. Let's go back to a daily. Let's go back to a 15-minute to see the action. Apple off about 0.8% to kick off the trading session. Amazon, they catch a little bit of a bid coming into the opening bell. They're negative by just 0.2%. You jump over to Microsoft shares, negative by about 0.5% off $1.77, but they catch a bid on the open as well, as the NASDAQ in particular claws back some of the overnight losses. Let's check out the Qs. Yeah, you see a little bit of a pop on the open, right? Qs pop from 402 to 402.70 right there. Similarly, you get the NASDAQ 100 popping from a price level of, watch out. The low on the open there, 16,666, up to about 16.7. And you got the Russell, just tough goes, off about 1.5% in the Russell. All right, let's check out some of the airlines. You jump over to United. So they get you a little bit of a lift there for United shares, up by 1.2% to kick off the trading session. You jump over to American down about 0.4%. Kevin mentioned we start getting airlines. Delta, I believe, on Friday. They're off about 0.5% to kick things off. We get the four big banks. J.P. Morgan, off about 0.3%. Bank of America, off 1.4%. Yeah, these banks, man. Got a little banging going on in the background, folks. I apologize. Hopefully it's done. Bank of America. I mean, look at this. You're flat on the year. Bank of America, basically where you were in May of 2022. For some context here, J.P. Morgan was trading at 120 in May of 2022, and you're up 50%. So all banks are not created equal, man. And we know that, but when you see it on these charts, I mean, look at Citi. Even after the run from 38 to 53, you're just back to where you were in April. For some context, in April, J.P. Morgan was trading at 133, right? That was Citi, Bank of America, Wells Fargo. You're at 49. Yeah, you're above where you've been trading at recently, but nothing like the run that you had in J.P. Morgan. We get those banks on Friday, among with some airlines. Kevin talked about United Health. I believe we get them. They're pushing all-time highs right now. 536, the high level, 550. Nice round number. We're just off that price point in United Health. All right, what else we got pulled up here? Let's jump through. Let me pull up. Yeah, we talked about Boeing, United. Yeah, we could talk a little bit of that. All right, let's just jump around some of the different equities in terms of what we got going on. NVIDIA, quite the day for them yesterday. NVIDIA, man, I was reading a piece on Seeking Alpha last night, just jumping around, forget who I was reading it from, but they were making the case that it's, undervalued when you look at the PE. When you look at the forward PE going back on a stock like NVIDIA, there's many areas, actually this area. When you were up the highs in late 2021, you actually had a much higher valuation in terms of multiples that you were trading at versus where you are right now. Quite the acceleration for them yesterday. We trade from 500 to 521. You jump over to the Analyze tab on the Thinkorswim platform. You're talking about a company valued at $1.3 trillion. Absolutely remarkable when you put it in that context. And I thought I had an article pulled up by them. I'll have to find it again. Because, of course, it's a... yeah, I thought I had an article. I'll have to find it. All right, let's talk a little bit of Amazon. So Amazon, they're trying to beef up their video streaming, right? So we talked about that they're going to go start, I think it was last week we talked about, that they're going to start playing ads within their streaming service. If you want to opt out of that, it's going to be about $3 a month to pay for no ads. They've said that they're going to have far fewer ads within their programs than you're normally accustomed to, especially on set-top boxes, etc. But they are going to have ads in there for their products, and they're going to be selling ads, I'm sure. Okay, advertising, a huge part of Amazon's growth. I've talked about it before. I'll have to look at those numbers again and do it again because you're going to see it coming for Prime. Amazon's figured out that advertising is a huge opportunity for growth for them. They're going to put it into Prime. And what are they going to do? They're going to beef up Prime in the same way as they're going to have new features. They're going to feature a feature that's going to mimic Apple's AirPlay. Now, if you're familiar, you can do different platforms, okay? Whether you're talking about iPhone and Android, but the feature is going to be called Mattercasting, okay? And it's part of a push for Amazon to create interoperable services, okay? Yeah. Now, for years, Apple's AirPlay and Google's Cast have offered this capability, letting users on a large TV screen, but those systems don't always work smoothly across platforms. Amazon was also at a disadvantage because it doesn't have its own smartphone. But guess what? The new system unveiled at the Consumer Electronics Conference in Las Vegas will initially just send content from Amazon's Prime Video app to Echo Show devices. Yeah, so you can basically play anything you want off of the app itself that you're using, not the phone, and it's going to put it on there. You're just going to see a bigger push in there. I was surprised to see when they went to advertising that they're going to start pushing ads within Prime. But guess what? Now you're seeing that they're going to beef that up. That's going to be a player, and advertising is a big portion of their growth going on. All right, what else we got? Yeah, we can talk about this one. How about this one from Bloomberg, man? We got about 30 seconds coming up, 45 seconds until the next break. Yeah, I don't know what this one means, but it caught my eye. It should catch your eye. We'll look into it. Bottled water contains more plastic particles than previously thought. Hundreds of thousands of plastic particles in 1 liter bottles of water sold in the U.S., 90% of them small enough to enter the human bloodstream. What is going on? Plastics, man. A big problem in general. That headline out this morning, right? Yeah, yesterday afternoon, 3 o'clock. Did not see that one yesterday. Nanoplastics, that was the word I was looking for, pose a greater threat to human health than microplastics because they're small enough to penetrate human cells. Nanoplastics in the water. Be careful out there, folks. Remarkable, right? All right, jumping back to the market, let's check out. We got Apple shares slightly in the red by slightly. Yeah, you're off by 1% on Apple. Let's see how Boeing's opening up. Yeah, Boeing making lows. We got a 223 handle. Boeing probably going to 210. Which is the low, the last time they had that big volume spike of July. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the opening call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We get the markets in negative territory. We jump over to Netflix. Netflix gets a downgrade from Citi to neutral from buy. So we saw Apple getting a couple downgrades, right, last week. Netflix, another high flyer tech stock, you could call it, streaming, but they are a tech stock. They were one of the FANG stocks, right? They were the N. And they're off about 1.3% today. But they're talking about the streaming giant faces potential risks, such as revenue estimates that may be too high, is what his Citi is putting out there. So they get a little bit of a dip. Another equity getting a downgrade, PayPal. They get a downgrade, let's see. Yeah, from Morgan Stanley over concern tied to their sluggish rollout of new initiatives, is how they phrase it. Now, these payment companies, man, you talk about a tough go-around. You're at $60. The low on this chart is 50. The high of this chart is 310 back in 2021, below COVID lows, which were 82. Just remarkable, man. $60 for PayPal, just off of the cycle low, we'll call it a 50, just made at the end of last year. Yeah, October. Whew. Remarkable. All right, what else we got? We got Match Group, the owner of Tinder, as well as Match and many other dating sites. Look at this equity too. Talk about, but what do you got? You got Elliott Management. They've built a stake of about $1 billion, the Journal reporting. $39.79. You're up by 5%, but not quite the hype you had pre-market when it reached $44. You open. Let's put it on a minute chart to see how quick that drop actually was. It's still dropping, man. Right from the open at 42, we're down to 39. You're still up by 5.3%. But yeah, looks like Elliott has built about $1 billion stake in that equity. All right, what else we got? Let's talk a little bit of yields. So PIMCO is predicting equity-like returns from bonds even after the rally we've had. We've had quite a rally, right? Because what have we had? The 10-year was above 5%. We just rallied, as in you have fixed income, you have the 10-year, trading to higher price, which has decreased the yield that you're getting on that coupon, right? The yield you're getting on that coupon payment. So bonds have rallied to bring yields on the 10-year from above 5%. I think we reached a low of like 3.79. We're sitting right at about 4% right now, okay? Yields near 15-year highs create an array of opportunities, is the quote they have. 6 to 12-month outlook no longer favors duration extension, is how they put it. Global yields are, quote unquote, back in line with our expected ranges, with inflation and growth risks more symmetrical, okay? At this point, we don't see duration extension as a compelling tactical trade. Instead, they favor an array of opportunities with the potential to weather multiple macroeconomic scenarios made possible by bond yields still near 15-year highs. Okay, the yield is near 15-year highs. That means the price to buy those instruments is near 15-year lows, right? That's why there's an array of opportunity. Now, I just want to jump around as we get a little bit of a market deterioration here. We get the S&Ps now off 33. You got the Dow off 312. This morning, we have the 10-year rising a bit in the near term from 830. You were at 111.23. We're up a solid 8, almost 9 ticks in the last hour and 15 minutes or so. But taking a longer-term look, because context is important, folks. I say it so often. Context is so important, okay? In life, in markets, in politics, context. It's so important. You take something out of context, the meaning, everything about it is different, okay? So what has just happened? Well, we've had quite a run. You're telling me that I still have price appreciation to the upside? How is that possible? Yields just went from 5% to 4%. You're telling me now is the time that I still have an array of opportunities? Well, look at this chart, folks, okay? There's two angles to this. First of all, yes, you are at almost near record lows over the last 15 years. This brings you back to 2008. It's 2024, okay? So over the last 15 years, you're still getting in a more affordable price than almost anywhere else on that chart. Now, here's the kicker, though. Let's go to the 30, because that's as far back as my 20-year data goes, and I can find a chart before then. Does that go back? Yeah, here we go. That goes back at least. We're trading on the 30-year right now. Does that go? Let's see how far back the 10-year goes. Now, the 10-year goes back to 2003, and I got the 30-year go back to 96, okay? Little bit of a different story on the 30-year because of where you go back in terms of, are we going back to this new type of normal, though? Are we going back to this normal where we all accepted the fact that car loans were free, 0% financing for 5 years, right? Where mortgage rates were somewhere in the realm of 3.5% to 4%. Are we going back to that area? I don't know if we're going back to that area. Yes. Okay, we're not in the area that the Fed's at 5.5% anymore. But we're a far stretch from saying that the Fed's going to bring us back to the realm where we're at 0%, basically. Not quite, but many different parts of the world were at 0%, as we were at a pretty lower bound in terms of where you were for the 10-year, mortgage rates, etc. So we'll see where we go, but you take a look at this thing. PIMCO thinks, man, we got a long way to go, and we probably have some ways to go. But remember that these higher price levels were a generational pandemic, and recalibrate your expectations to that. Now, recalibrating it, I'd say you still have a ways to go, man, to the upside. And when that happens, right, 6 or 12 months from now, the Fed's cutting 3 times, okay? That's what they've said. Market thinks it might be 6 times, right? We've talked about on Thursday the CPI. Kevin laid things out well. I think he said that CPI is going to go up by 0.1% on a yearly basis from what it was in November. I'll get those numbers exactly. It might have been 3.1 to 3.2, 3 to 3.1, might have been something like that. But remember, we went over it yesterday. The comps you're dealing with from December of 2022, we're going to be getting December of 2023 data. December of 22, you actually have the CPI go down. So year-over-year comp, it's going to be a rise, and it's going to be a hot number. But then you're coming into the next 2 months. In January of 23, the CPI went up by almost 0.5%. And in February, I think it went up 0.4%. So over January and February alone, there's a full percentage point of increase in the CPI that is not reflected in the year-over-year comps that you're going to get on Thursday. So what happens? You go forward 2 months from right now, and the yearly comps are going to be against a number a year ago that is 1% higher than we're comping against right now. So as long as we don't go up 1% in the next 60 days, the comps are going to come down because of what you're dealing with. And you're going to face some of that going forward over the next year. So we got 3 cuts from the Fed. We have 6 from the market. The truth is probably going to be somewhere in between that. And you have a market that has only come down a full percentage point. So what is that? That's 4 cuts, right? We've went from 5 to 4%. That's 4 cuts. Well, the market's saying between 3 to 6. Market's saying 6. Fed's saying 3. Maybe we line up at 4, 5, or 6. Market's saying 4. Well, guess what? That means over the next 12 months, we have room to go for higher price and lower yield as that market recalibrates. All right, we got the S&Ps off by 31 right now. NASDAQ 100 off by 128. We jump over to Boeing shares. Yeah, they save themselves for now, off by 1.7%. We jump over to Amazon, flat. How about NVIDIA shares? Down by 0.2%. Stay tuned, folks. One more segment. We'll be right back.
The Gold Report. As a precious metal, gold is still king. It continues to hold the most effective safe haven and hedging properties across the global major trading hubs of the London OTC market, the U.S. futures market, and the Shanghai Gold Exchange. The Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his weekly gold report every Monday morning for subscribers, consisting of coverage of the XAU, HUI, GDX, the dollar, bonds, the South African rand, as well as 25 different mining equities with specific buy-sell recommendations. The Gold Report. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. Subscribe to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report newsletter now at TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Back, folks. We got the S&P off by 28 right now. You got the 10-year. We're negative by just 2 ticks. We're at 111.23. Look at this run we've had to higher price and lower yield since about 8:30 this morning. We got the yield right back at 4%. We were at 4.02, 4.03 when I kicked off the program. 4%, folks. 4.008. You can round it to 4.01. The yield on that 10-year. We jump over to the dollar index, DXY. 102.39, just kind of chopping around right now as we get the markets in red. The Dow off 292. The Russell, though, how about it, off 1.6% for the Russell. We jump over to Delta. They're basically flat this morning, 41.61. You jump over to Boeing shares. Check in on Boeing. We reach a low at 223.20. Boeing shares off about 2% to kick off the trading session. I mentioned Match. They were higher. Give up a lot of that. Elliott, they got $1 billion stake in Match. The Journal reporting up by 5.7%. Yeah, be careful of that equity, though. You want to talk about equities to be careful of? How about JetBlue? Look at this. No, is there any news on JetBlue out there? They just Oh, they got a downgrade. Look at it. I didn't even see this one. I'm going to go over here and say, be careful. It's off 6.4%. Maybe we should have had a short. You don't get a lot of charts that look a lot worse than this one, folks. Okay? That's your monthly. You're at 538. This thing chopped around at $5 for the better part of what? I mean, think about it. That was the lows of the financial crisis, man. The global financial crisis. You're talking about from beginning of 2008 to the end of 2013. 5 solid years you chopped around at that price level. Maybe you get another 5-year chop for JetBlue at $5. But boy, yeah, be careful of that one, to put it lightly. S&P on that basis, quite a different chart. You're pushing all-time highs, 47.71, as we get the NASDAQ 100 off by 123. And we jump into the VIX. VIX, on a negative day, when you get the markets, S&P down 31, no worries in the VIX, man. 1335, just a little bit of volatility in a back-and-forth market, just giving up. And let's just see, as we end the program, what kind of Fibonacci's we're dealing with here. We're right at the 382. That's what I thought might be the case. 47 short at 71 in the S&Ps. Folks, thanks for kicking off your Tuesday right here at TFNN. Stay tuned. We got our man Basil Chapman. He's up next. We got Steve Rhodes coming up at 11. Larry Pesavento live at 1. We got my dad live at 3 o'clock. And don't forget about Fast Market at noon, folks. Have a great